Today we're going from this to this, a fully custom cigar humidor, and it's going to be shipped off to Alaska. But before all of that, we've got to cut down a tree. My name is Chandler, I run a custom wood shop here in Kansas City, and I make heirloom quality pieces. My parents have about 20 acres of land, and we didn't have to walk long to find an overcrowded area of cedar trees. My dad did most of the heavy lifting with prepping the tree, and with my little electric chainsaw, I helped a little bit. We chose to use the base of the tree to get our lumber for a few reasons. One, it's the thickest part of the tree, which will yield the widest boards. And two, this is where the wood is least likely to bend and warp when drying. We had a hard deadline for this project to be complete, so we cut this down in January, which gave us 4 months for the wood to dry and start using. This was also the maiden voyage for my dad's chainsaw mill attachment, so we spent plenty of time getting that set up. We used 2 conduit bars for the rails to ride across for the initial cut, then we could reference the previous cut for the rest of the log. We're cutting 1-inch thick pieces since I'm wanting 1/2-inch thick panels for this build. I spaced out all the cedar in my basement, hopefully encouraging it to dry evenly. We started out at about 15% moisture content, but as the months rolled by, we got down to under 8%, perfect for this interior piece. Once the wood was stable, I got one side of the slab flat on my flattening jig, then brought it to my planer to get the other side flat and parallel. I fully milled up one piece, let it sit for a few days, then came back to check and see if it had warped in any way, and thankfully, it was still flat and square. Then I just had to repeat the flattening and planing for all the other pieces. With 6 panels roughly cut to size, I set up my panel clamps to glue up the back and side walls for this cigar humidor. I believe these panel clamps are made for 3/4 inch material or thicker, so I ended up throwing some scrap pieces of ply on top of the glue up so the glue seam would have even pressure all the way around. This build will have no hardware beside the door hinges, knobs, and humidor accessories, so I'm going with box joints for the exterior walls. This should help keep the humidor airtight, and with alternating sapwood and heartwood on this aromatic cedar, it should end up looking pretty cool. As much as I can, I try to avoid using measurements in self-contained builds like this. When I can reference the other pieces of the build, then I don't have to worry about the numbers. It's strangely freeing not to worry about making something exactly 12.5 inches or whatever fraction of a whole number, and just go by what looks right or what fits perfectly. With the front face glued up and square, I clamped all the walls together so I could route out the rabbet joint for the top and bottom, again to help keep this box airtight. There were very few voids in this wood, which I was very thankful for, so I ended up only having to use resin on a handful of knotholes. I've learned to really get the resin in there with a dentist's pick to avoid air bubbles mid-cure and having to pour a second round of resin. After a dozen trips back and forth to the table saw, I got the fit on the top and bottom snug and could move on to the next step, which was a logo inlay. Having a laser graver is a huge help in my workshop, giving me the ability to transfer template shapes, logos, or as you'll see later, shelving design from the computer to the project. I used a darker wood veneer, I believe it's walnut, as the logo inlay. something that would stand out but not be too busy since the cedar already has so much going on. With that done, I could move on to working on the shelves of this cigar humidor. I decided to use cedar from another locally sourced mill for all the interior wood, to have some contrast, and well, I was running out of wood from our first log. I wanted to save all the original wood for the exterior so everything would match, and this aromatic cedar ended up looking great on the inside. What wasn't great was when I was plunge cutting the slot in the shelf for my router table, I got a bit too eager and snapped the bit. Thankfully, I was able to salvage the pieces by going back to the laser and cutting larger slots across the whole board. This did leave a burnt finish inside each slot, so I had to spend hours sanding each slot to get rid of that burnt smell. You don't want a bad smell where you store your cigars, or so I'm told. Switching gears, I went back to the router table to route out a slot for a sheet of glass to sit in the door of this cabinet. This process was very similar to making picture frames, which I've done plenty of, so I got to relax and enjoy my audiobook as I got this assembled. This is my first time working with glass, and I was a bit nervous, but I followed the instructions on the packaging, and honestly, it went great. Whoa! To make this door airtight, I ended up cutting some thin strips to go on the inside of the door, so it would be a pressure fit. I used wood glue and CA glue to attach them, and after getting on the brass knob, the door was good to go. For the bottom drawer, I kept it very simple, since this will house whatever various cigar accessories are needed. For the interior false bottom and the shelves, I used the offcuts from the shelf slots to make small ledges for everything to sit on, again using wood glue and CA glue to attach them. I'm really fond of combining both glues, since one gives long-term adhesion, the wood glue, and the other one gives short-term adhesion, the CA glue, eliminating the need for clamps. With everything disassembled, I could do a few rounds of sanding and then prep for the glue up. Apparently I was overthinking the glue up because I got everything set up, everything just right in place so I could reach it. I set up the camera and I never hit record. So the first part of the glue up was done off camera. Thankfully, I was using an extended work time glue because halfway through I had to drive to the store to buy more clamps. I wanted to get a clamp for every finger joint, and $200 of extra clamps later, we made that happen. After that dried, I added small runners to the bottom and sides of the drawer slot and made up some decorative trim pieces to add to the interior, before moving on to the top and bottom panel glue-ups. I did a round of adding wood glue and sawdust to any of the gaps in the joinery, another round of sanding, and then I could make the exterior trim. I don't use trim much in my projects, but I think this made the biggest difference in the overall look. It really took this humidor from a box to a display piece, and I'm so glad I added it. Everything gets a bath of mineral spirits to remove the remaining sawdust, and this will be the final step for the interior since it won't have any finish applied to it. For the exterior, however, I went with a hard wax finish, and thank you to Rubio Monocoat for sending this over. I've used their finish on most of my latest projects, and from the beginning, I couldn't wait to see this aromatic cedar pop with their pure finish. After the finish had set for a few days, I had a small list of tasks that were needed to make this project complete. I want to take the time now to say thank you so much for watching. I really enjoy making these custom pieces. Each one brings its own unique problems to solve, and I just love it. If you have a custom project in mind, feel free to reach out to me on my website, Chandler Makes, and I'd love to work with you. With that, I'll let you enjoy the beauty shots.
Cigar garbage? Oh, look at that. Wow.
We cut that tree off our land.
That is so wonderful.
That is beautiful. Off the land.